All right, let's look at this first problem. How many atoms of hydrogen are in, let me make it a little bigger, are in 2.3 times 10 to the minus 2 moles. And this, we wouldn't normally write it like that. Let me see if I can... I wouldn't normally write this number like this, but this particular problem, the way that I have to program it on eLearn for you to be able to answer in scientific notation, that means I have to give the variables. So 2.3 times 10 to the minus 2, let me scroll out, that's actually 0.023. We did this back in the first chapter. You move the decimal 2 places. The negative means it's a small number. So that's the same thing as 0.023. And if you want to practice taking it in and out, you can, although you don't have to. You can just leave it as 2.3 times 10 to the minus 2. Now we're wanting to know how many atoms are in that many moles. So that unit is moles. And we're trying to find atoms. And so that conversion factor you have exactly upside down. So we're starting with 0.023. In fact, let me write it the way that it's written in the problem. So you're starting with 2.3 times 10 to the minus 2. And that is a mole. And you will multiply, I've got my calculator over here, by 1 mole on the bottom so that it cancels, and 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd atoms, and we could use the symbol for the atom type, it's hydrogen. We could use the H symbol instead of atoms on top. So your conversion factor is upside down because the 6.022 goes with the atoms and not the mole. The mole has to cancel. All right, now when I get this math problem, my suggestion is just to plug it into your calculator all at once. Over here on the left, I have your typical graphing calculator. You may have just a cheap scientific calculator. You may be using an app that looks similar to this. Here's how you punch it in. They all work similarly. I'm going to punch in the 2.3 times 10 to the minus 2 by pushing 2.3. And then the times 10 to the minus 2 is going to be labeled as EE or EXP, typically on a scientific calculator. And on mine, I see it here on this button that I've pressed down so you can see it highlighted. It's a comma, but in the upper left-hand corner is EE. So let me back up, undo, get rid of that comma. Since the upper left-hand corner is the second function, I'll hit second. Notice they're now in blue. I see that EE in blue, and I punch it. That E, which is a third way you see it, and you can see it as E rather than EE, but notice on my screen it put an E. That stands for the whole times 10 raised to the power. So that does all of that at once. And now all I have to plug in is -2. Not -2, but negative. Down here in the very bottom row, there's my -2. So that display, look up at the display in the upper left-hand corner, is 2.3 times 10 to the -2. Then I will hit times 6.022 times 10 to the 23. I'm going to do that in scientific notation. 6.022. I'll hit my second function, EE. 23 equals. Over there on the right, notice it prints out, let me write it in blue, 1.38506. Then I see the letter E, 22. That means it's 1.38506 times 10 to the 22 is my answer. And my instructions were to, this is question 12, 1 decimal place in scientific notation. So I will type into the answer box 1.4. It shows me the times 10, and then it's got another box up here. So this is a box. I'll type the 22 in the box. My answer, my unit is atoms. It will never take off points if you put the wrong unit in, so that doesn't matter. And that's how I'll fill in my answer key. Now, as you do number 13, again, you're going to want to flip that 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd. And by the way, let me double check. This is the correct answer for your number 12. On number 13, you're going to flip that 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd conversion factor. Try typing it into your calculator all in one step, and you should get, let me give you the correct answer, is 3.3 times 10 to the 18. So once you finish that up, double check that you're getting that answer. I did put in my note in your email that we can meet virtually or in person if you want to. So if this is still not crystal clear, let's meet and go over it.